One of the most notable people of the financial world is Michael Burry. Burry was already known in his circle to be a top notch financial investor, but it was the big short against the subprime mortgages during the economic crisis of 2008 that made him a household name. Burry made millions of dollars while the rest of the economy was falling down. This shows that he's an expert at what he does. Now, in 2022, Burry is placing his bets on the downfall of another giant company of today's tech world, Apple. So let's take a dive into his insights and explore why Burry is saying all of this. The 13F filing is the report in which all the top notch investors present their portfolios to SEC and the general public. While the filing for Burry was published, people were astonished to see that he had bought puts against Apple, which were worth around $36 million. Burry holds an opposite position as compared to his mentor Warren Buffett, who seems to be bullish about Apple for quite some time now, and as per his 13F filing, he's bought some more shares of the company. For those who don't know about puts, it's a category of options in which money is made when the price of stocks decline. Burry has used this option, which entitles him to sell the stocks worth of $36 million at a strike price before the expiration date by the end of March. Burry would be able to make a huge profit by selling the shares if the price of Apple shares decline more than the strike price before the expiration date. In addition to this, he would also be able to short the stock, in which he would borrow the shares and sell these, expecting the price would decline only to buy these back at a decreased price and give back to the lender while earning profits. Not requiring investors to reveal their short positions is the biggest shortcoming of 13F filing, so there's a great chance that Burry has increased his bet in the form of shorts against Apple. Now, some of you may say that this isn't new for Apple, as many investors have been shorting the stocks of the tech giant many times, and none of them have succeeded in earning profits. But Burry is not like any other investor. He doesn't make predictions or bets quite frequently, but when he does so, he proves to be right. Burry is famous because of the big short of 2008, in which he forecasted that the housing market would crash as soon as it's been in a bubble, which came true. Similarly, in 2020, when the pandemic had just started, he foresaw that there will be a huge inflation when the pandemic would subside and the economy will again reopen. Burry was true to his claim, as inflation has really picked since the economy has opened again. Same is the case when he saw the opportunity of short squeeze in the GME way before other investors could realize. So, based on his track record, it can be said that if he's betting on something, there might be a big reason for it. As we told you earlier, that SEC doesn't force investors to reveal or explain their positions, and as Burry doesn't come into limelight through interviews like Warren Buffett, who explains the reasons behind his positions, the information about why Burry is shorting on Apple can be gathered from some of his tweets. As per our analysis, there could be three reasons. Well, there can be more reasons, but as per our knowledge, these three are the most apt ones. The first reason could be that it might be merely a hedging position. Well, this is our personal observation, and you don't have to agree with that. So why are we proposing this reason? The answer to that is simple. The hedge theory seems to be in the works here. Burry isn't negatively opinionated about the tech market, rather, he has purchased a lot of shares of Google and Meta, and since we're living in very uncertain conditions these days, so Burry's bet against Apple might be an attempt to hedge his other investments in case the market falls, and the reason to choose a company like Apple for shorting purposes might be cheaper rates of puts owing to the stability of shares in the S&P 500. But still, this is just our observation. The second reason, which other financial experts also consider, is the decline of consumer spending for the time being as opposed to last year when people had increased spending power owing to the stimulus given by the government. But this year, since inflation is on the rise, which means people have to spend more money on the necessities while the wages haven't risen as per the inflation, so people don't have much money to buy luxurious things like Apple products. In addition to this, Apple is facing supply chain issues due to the zero pandemic policy of China, due to which the profits of the company are going to decrease from both ends. In the conference call of April 28th, the company announced that it would have to face $4 to $8 billion as restraints in the logistics and production operations. The company is also predicting that its gross margins will decline to between 42 to 43%. The company experienced a gross margin of 43.7% in the last quarter. The third theory is about the valuation of the company. As per Logan Kane, a writer on Seeking Alpha, The valuation of the company has grown tremendously in the past years, and the speed of this growth is really fast as compared to the actual earnings, which means that the profits were not increasing, but the stock price actually did increase. The answer to this is share buybacks. When the stocks had a lower price, Tim Cook employed the offshore cash of Apple to buy back huge amounts of shares, which resulted in skyrocketing the price of the stock. Other investors, experiencing this price increase and actions of the management as a good omen, which intrigued more and more people, and resultantly, the price continued to increase, which resulted in the PE ratio touching new highs. For a company like Apple, a PE ratio of 40 is really high, but as of now, the PE ratio is decreasing, and the huge earnings of the company during the pandemic can be considered as a result of the stimulus and are unsustainable. But Warren Buffett is betting against Burry and is expecting that Apple is not going anywhere, at least for some years. He's been actively investing in Apple and recently purchased around $3.8 million worth of shares. Both Buffett and Burry are long-time investors, but Burry also makes short-term investments if he sees a profit as a short-term bets against Tesla. What we think is that shorting on Apple is a short-term strategy for Burry, which he's doing keeping in mind the valuation of the company, but this isn't against the business model of Apple, and Warren Buffett is placing his bets thinking about the long-term performance of the company. So maybe both are correct as per their experience, Burry for short term, while Buffett for the long term.